hello, good evening. This is Sashiko Live Streaming. Welcome to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. Let me check the audio first. I hope you are having a great week. Yeah, there we go. Please adjust the audio on your side as well, because I am trying to increase this microphone as much as I can so that I can stitch and talk. So this is the Sashiko live streaming where I stitch Sashiko while talking about some Sashiko stories. If there's any request for me to talk about, please let me know. It is not a lecture or tutorials or webinar or online class, so I am not going to answer any technical questions. Those information is already on the YouTube, so please check that out. And if you need more help, please consider taking my online class. That being said, please bring something that you can stitch so you can stitch together. There's nothing going to be happening on the camera, so if you could join that while listening and some typing comments and stuff like that, that'd be really appreciated. Okay, I think I said everything. Yeah, I want to make sure that I can make this place for you to be stitching together. Right? So I brought the topic today inspired out of choices. I will talk about the word inspired a little bit today. I was planning. At the same time, there was a little bit of, I wouldn't say incident, but it might be a good idea to explain or introduce how things are moving forward. I don't know if it's a good, I don't know if I'm explaining well, but there was a very good example on the Instagram yesterday, and I would like to explain that what's going on too. All right, I will switch the camera. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, I have not completed the pattern, so I didn't have chance. Hello, Didi and Clau. Thank you so much for coming. I'm trying my best to share and explain what Sashiko really is. So your understanding, if you know about Sashiko, it's not probably wrong, but it's not enough. And you're probably here because you would like to learn more. And as long as you're trying to learn more, I'm perfectly fine with that. We all are going to be in the process of learning. So if you would like to know more, that's great. You're here for that. If you think you know about Sashiko well enough to teach to others, then you might be in trouble. So be careful with that. Because I even don't know what Sashiko really is for everybody. I know what Sashiko is for me and for my family and for my regions, but that does not explain everybody's Sashiko. It's so hot. The reason, I hope my voice is okay, but it's so hot here. And it's gonna be thunderstorm tonight, so I hope it won't be. I hope there will not be any power outage today. Hello. Well, I mean, I'm not really worried about, not even worried. The friends, I rather call friends, people who come to my live stream, I would like to call them friends rather than people. The friends who come to this live streamings are not the people I have to deliver the message. I'm glad that you're here, and then I'm glad that I can offer something that you can learn. But even if you decided to, for that matter, even if you decided to teach Sashiko, I wouldn't be mad, or it does not make myself unhappy. there are bigger group of people who think they know about Sashiko without talking to Japanese people or not being able to speak Japanese. That's the kind of the category of the people I have to speak up to, not about, speak up to. And as I am still learning how to put my feeling or experience into word, this live streaming is really important for me to sort of put my thoughts, emotions into the word in English. I can do that in Japanese quite easily, but still English is my second language, so I have to, I don't want to say practice, but more like articulate. Coming up as many analogy as possible is one thing. At the same time, we have very different. There's a big difference between Japanese mindset and American mindset, not American, no, Western mindset. So I hope that this can be a dialogue to sort of bridge those two things. Hello, Reiko sensei. Hello, hello. Yeah. So I brought the topic about inspired. So many people are using the word inspired, and today's topic was to kind of question everybody what is inspired means, really. We tend to use the word inspired as if it won't be crossing the line because they're saying inspired. And it's probably true. And in many cases, inspired can be kind of silver bullet to make sure that we are not appropriating the other culture. But I see so many Boro inspired, Sashiko inspired practice teachings items. I really wonder what they are inspired from. If they are simply inspired from how it looks, I think they should say that how it looks, like appearance inspired. But if they are saying that, well, at least if they are saying, or if they're teaching about Boro saying inspired by Boro, then they have to know the stories behind it. In that case, inspired by Boro can be very dangerous word because the Boro is kind of a product of the no choice. So the human beings like us today with so many choices choose the word Boro and concept, the outlook or the outcome of Boro, and say inspired based on how it looks can be quite misrepresenting. It can be quite misrepresenting what it actually is. So I know you don't. I know this. This is not a place to say cautions, but when you say inspired, make sure that we can articulate what we are inspired from. Inspired itself is not gonna be a silver bullet, but many people use that as the silver bullet. Does silver bullet make sense? Tsuchiko-san, ありがとうございます。Explaining about Sashiko is similar to explaining about the word wabi-sabi. Yeah, yes. Tell me about that. Something it doesn't exist itself, but it's more like feeling or experience occurred in time. It is very true. And there's so many Japanese words that I cannot explain well. Or, like for example, probably Zen is the word we use a lot often. And I'm not a Zen monk, so I cannot speak on their behalf. But there's one concept in Zen that it comes from who. Ooh, it comes from the Chinese philosophy. Soshi. Oh, Soshi? Roshi to Soshi. Well, I mean, anyway, like there's it comes from the Chinese philosophy that Zen has one principle that no word can explain the whole. Ryumonji is the word for that, but the word can express certain things. Words can explain certain things, but in order to understand it fully, one has to experience that. And that's the kind of principle of Zen. So there's no such a thing as understanding Zen based on reading or based on talking. And wabi-sabi and stuff, the other words are like that too. They not have to, in order to fully understand what those are, let's say, in order to fully understand enough to teach others, they can come to their own understanding by themselves. So it's perfectly fine to not to fully understand, but in order to say that they are understanding those words enough to teach to others, they have to share the ordinary with the Japanese people. We kind of know what wabi-sabi is, but we cannot explain that. I have never met anybody who can explain what wabi-sabi is very clearly as if they define the word. But we know what wabi-sabi is. At the same time, this might probably help some of the Japanese people or some of the ideas, but when we define one thing as wabi-sabi, then it's not wabi-sabi anymore. So for example, some people might consider this stitching as the wabi-sabi, right? Fine, but once the practitioner call their stitching wabi-sabi, it is not wabi-sabi anymore. Because wabi-sabi is not really a title or adjective or any like a word to describe. It's just more like as the Tsuchiko-san said, it's the kind of feeling or experience or be feeling. So it is really difficult. At the same time, there is no way to. I mean, I cannot just give up and say whatever. I used to say that, but it is too much, and it was too much just yesterday, and I will try to introduce that. The Tao, I don't know that. The Tao teaching is similar. The Tao that can be described is not the true Tao. Yep. There we go. That's the kind of Asian philosophy itself. So it is really, there's a big gap between the sort of Asian approach and Western approach. And it's not a matter of good or bad, but it is very dangerous to just apply the Western value to something new. Ancient, like it is very. This is something I have to do, but in order to understand the Japanese philosophy, it is very much recommended to learn the ancient Chinese philosophy too. Hello, Leah. So it is quite. It's a long way. I will never say that I know the 100% of Japanese culture or like the whole picture of Sashiko. I know what I do and what I'm doing, but it is really. It can take time. It can take life to articulate it, I guess. Okay, so what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the trend itself. You probably know it already, but I am not gonna be upset, or I'm not gonna be hurt, or it's not gonna be harmful if you decided to use the word Sashiko for anything. Any of you stitching or like anything. If you happen to use the word Sashiko for anything, it does not really. It's not the source of my. It's not the cause of my pain. I mean, it might make me. It might make me uncomfortable, but it does not really. I don't feel the pain because it is how it is. We use some foreign word for some convenience, and we don't know what it is. One of the probably big example is that Nike, like the shoemakers Nike, made the Sashiko shoes, sneakers. Like I think it was a skater's shoes. And many people worried about me that that's not right to use Sashiko on something not stitched. And my reaction was not something they kind of expected. Like I said, I wasn't. That's okay because they they're just using the other word because it's a trend. Um, I think if I have to explain, if I, when not have to, when I would like to explain what it is, the source of pain, it happens when a person, in like, if when they think they know enough about Sashiko, and then use that word. And there's a one account. I don't know if he or she blocked me already. But there is one account which kept giving me advice on the Instagram, like lots of like series of questions and advice, and I kind of let it slide for the first few times, twice I think, and this time I could not let it slide because that was the third time, and also the comments say that you can go to the Instagram and still look at it. Sashiko is easily understood. That's what the comment said. And like, okay. So his point was that he wanted to have something decorative, whether some cloth or something with decorative mending, and they used the word Sashiko to explain what he want, and probably that happened to be communicatable. He know the shop knew what Sashiko was, and the communication was smooth because of the word. But that communication does not involve Japanese people because Sashiko is not a word for the decorative mending. It can be, but it's not a whole picture. So by them saying that it is easily understood, the comment is eliminating all the possible people or stories around the world. And this happens because that the word itself is departing from actual people, yet the trend is so strong that the word itself is pushed through along the kind of river, and it has all meaning. It's not quite wrong, but it's dangerous to say that it's the right way to explain that. And after I reply to those comments saying please learn, then those people have a tendency to switch to try to convince me that I should be more open-minded. like be nice to those who like to learn, or like, remove the barriers, be open-minded, accept the reality. Like there's tons of ways to say that I have to change. And 4 years ago, until 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I thought that I had to change. And I think I have been trying to change little by little as well, but not in 2013. I mean, not in 2023. That's not the way I should change. So the issue is that I probably summarized it very well on Instagram. I'm pretty happy with the final summary, and I'm not gonna, dig into that. But this is what I'm trying to reverse. Somebody non-Japanese defined the word. They sold the word with profit or convenience, and the majority of people understood that word as those teachers introduced. And there's nothing wrong with those people because they didn't know. And because it's so naturally introduced to the market, many people start thinking that the word itself has only one meaning or already universal meaning. And this process does not involve anybody experienced and from the origin. That is the process of erasing the culture, or if I borrow somebody's word, it's the cultural colonization. It is something I have to fight back, and I did not expect to receive that kind of comment right on time, but I did. So that's what it is on the Instagram right now. But besides that, I don't think there's a cultural appropriation in Sashiko. Many people think I think. Okay, let me put this way. Many people think that I complain about usage of Sashiko as the word as the cultural appropriation, but I don't. I respect the cultural appropriation issues, but I don't. I'm not there yet. So if you like to use the word Sashiko, please do. And just make sure to acknowledge the people and story behind the word. And the comment did not. The comment tried to ignore the original comment, saying like that's not the word. They insisted that Sashiko is already everybody's property, so that they should use it for their convenience. And that's not true. Again, Sashiko is not the word for the decorative mending. I have never met anybody who considers Sashiko as the decorative mending in my life. In Japanese, as a Sashiko artisan, I have probably met somebody outside of my family, but none of my family member, none of my artisans that I grew up with in my family, they never ever thought Sashiko as the decorative mending. We do some decoration, we do have some decorative stitching, but not a decorative mending. Oh, sorry, Tsuchiko-san's comment, I kind of slipped that, I'm sorry. She's Japanese, so it's very important for us, for me as well, to listen to what she has to say, what she wants to say, what she can say, what she is kindly saying here. It is helping us to understand that I'm not hallucinating, or I'm, speaking out of, I can be wrong. And I might be the only one who think like that in Japanese. Look, as this live streaming is in English, not many people can validate what I'm saying in English. They might be completely wrong in Japan or in Japanese conversation, as if like I might not exist in Japan. Like no, I might not have any friends in Japan, right? That can be happening. And in order to prove that I have some Japanese friend in Japan, I took 8 of my friends to Japan last spring. and they saw it. So okay, if they saw it, I'm not hallucinating. I'm not imagining some of the world. Anyway, sorry. Someone asked me where he could buy wabi-sabi. Sorry for laughing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna read it out loud. Someone asked me where he could buy wabi-sabi chawan. He used wabi-sabi as an explanation that he was looking for some rustic, nostalgic, or vintage kind of chawan. I answered that he couldn't buy wabi-sabi chawan, but it's more like something it would grow inside of him in time while he's using it. He can buy someone's story, history, or experience. This is very, very well explained. Much better than mine. Please, everybody read that. But the same thing. So wabi-sabi has become a specific word to explain the rustic, nostalgic, and kind of like simplicity. But it's not. The non-Japanese use the word wabi-sabi to explain that, but it's really not it. I don't know what it is. I cannot explain what it is, but Sashiko is becoming. I don't know if I can say Sashiko has become, but those post or comment illustrate that it's happening. Sashiko has become the word for the visible mending, decorative mending, running stitch. Sashiko is not the word for running stitch. We have the word for running stitch. Unshin is the running stitch, so we have the word for that. So it is happening, and probably I cannot stop this trend. It's too big. I should have done that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but it is too late to stop that. That's why I received that kind of comment. But I cannot just ignore those things, so I have to speak up. おはようございます。よろしくお願いします。The post was very weak. Sorry, Susan. I'm laughing because that's exactly what I thought. But okay, I did not want to say that the post or like the comment was weird because that's my personal feeling, and saying that the comment itself was strange could be twisting what it is. So I did not say that, but it is very weird. The post was very weird. I don't think anyone anywhere think decorative mending is less clear than Sashiko. Decorative mending is much broader category than Sashiko, even if there's some overlap. Yes, so I really don't know what he thinks. And I mean, so I keep saying he, maybe she, maybe they, I don't know. But according to the, I don't know, but they have a very, very specific image of Sashiko, and as the result, they cannot let it go. What is the word for running stitching? Unshin. Actually, it's more like how to move the hand, a needle. But it's a running. I mean, not probably. It's the if I have to translate running stitch into Japanese, it's gonna be unshin because running stitch is not only for Sashiko. There are many other stitching culture in Japan which comes with running stitch. And unshin can apply to many other fields besides Sashiko as well. So there's Sashiko's unshin, there's Wasai's unshin, there's another type of stitching requires their own unshin. So I teach the Sashiko's unshin to fully explain what Sashiko is. The Sashiko we practice is. But things are getting very, very strange. The foreign word, new word can be cool or like fashionable. So, like decorative stitch. Well, it's kind of funny for that, but Boro has become colorful patchwork with the recycling materials, which is kind of not a kind of, which is not at all. it is hard when you have to deal with random strangers on the internet. You can say it, but I can. Yeah. Well, I used to say that, but I tried to be nice. I wouldn't say nice, but I would like to be as reasonable as possible. But the scary part is that those people really, really, really think that they're doing something nice with something good. So the advice, the comment kept offering me so many advice that I should follow. How to reduce this anger, probably, I guess. But what do you like? Who do you think they are? I really don't know. To call Sashiko a decorative stitch misses the point of what Sashiko really is. Yes. So that's it. So it is the decorative stitch is part of Sashiko, but it does not explain the whole. It misses the kind of very important point of Sashiko. I'm not doing any decorative stitching. You must be bored. I am bored out of this pattern. This is not decorative stitching. This is the stitching for the purpose of stitching. This is the stitching to keep my word. Am I enjoying it? Probably not. Am I gonna do it when I am alone? I don't. I'm too bored to do this one. So I do it only when I do the live streaming because my brain is completely focused on talking. So I don't remember what I stitched. It's perfectly fine. I don't remember it because I don't think. How many meters of weight slip? About 50 to 60. I have not. No, actually 55 to 65. The reason I have like those 10 meters in between is that I don't know if I can count those which has some stitching left behind. Kasane, if you took my class, you know the word kasane. And I kind of don't like kasane, as you know. And I try to kind of procrastinate that. I do procrastinate, and that's what's happening. So there are lots of pieces like this. There are tons of pieces like that, like waiting to be a meter. But this is the kind of time-consuming part. I don't like. I don't want to be quiet, so I have to kind of focus on that, but I don't want to focus on that. And I don't know who said that. It's me who said it, but somebody stupid said that those 100-meter will be both sides as the finish side. That's a stupid. I don't know why I said it, but I'm making both sides of the finish side. So there's no way to kind of avoid it. So I purchased all the fabric to make it 100-meter. So it's just a matter of time. Just have to be cornered, I guess. I might be crying at the end of this year saying like, I don't want to do kasane. I don't want to do kasane. I mean, how can I explain that? If I got into the zone, I can do kasane like continuously, but it takes so much time and energy to get into the zone, and I sometimes miss it. And I cannot calculate how many hours of stitching I need to get into the zone. As the result, anyway, you can see about 40 or 45 meters of the running, this Asan Hot Patterns fabric, which is not connected yet. But I brought it to the Domestica's filming place studio, and they kind of made fun of that too. So I think it's on the trailer. I introduced that on the trailer too. So if you'd like to see what it looks like, what they look like, it's all there. I don't have it right now, like 40 meters of them here. I put them in the box. Yeah, don't do it. I just wanted to make sure that the pattern is very important part of Sashiko, but it's not everything. So I, as a Sashiko practitioner, can stitch same things over and over again without getting tired of it. Well, I'm getting tired of it, but that's a figure of speech. I could have done it like just parallel line, but parallel line is most difficult pattern because I cannot kind of fake it. I cannot cover those mistakes. So I think I'm doing the most easiest one. What do I intend to do with them when they are finished? Yeah, that's another good question. I don't know. Well, I would like to connect those 100-meter into one long piece. And the idea is that I might wrap the house or I may run next to it by putting them on the street. I might wave it somehow. I don't know, but I might keep it so that somebody might be able to make jacket out of it. I don't know it yet. That's how kind of stupid I can be. But it was a good way to encourage the fabric maker to, like, we needed to purchase some quite big amount of fabric to support them. And this is one way to kind of use fabric in a nice way. I'm happy to do that. It's just taking so long time, but that's a different story. Well, my goal is to be able to what did I say now? Forgot what I said. Wrapping the house would be interesting. It is, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, this project does not really follow what Sashiko really is, so I am wasting the fail. Well, I'm not saying wasting it. Oh, no, 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 no. Like, there's one more thing. So when I decided to do this 100 meters Wasano pattern, that was the time I was still wondering if Sashiko is art or not, or Sashiko can be art or not. And I was debating that if Sashiko can be the art or not. And we did this kind of discussion 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But in order to go deeper in discussion, we have to define what art is. Without that, we cannot really discuss if Sashiko can be the art or Sashiko is the art. And that was kind of conclusion we had as a conclusion, like we have to define what art is, and that's gonna be another big discussion to define what art is. Like define the art as everybody feel sort of happy or understanding it. So back then I was thinking what art is, what art was, and I read one statement, like not a definition, but explaining what art is and saying like that's the creation to deliver the message. I think the definition said it. I probably wrote it somewhere on the Patreon, but art is the kind of media or vehicle to deliver the message by creating it. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, in that case, this might be what I stitch is probably, well, not probably, definitely not following the principle of Sashiko, but I have a choice, and you know, Sashiko is changing in the choice. So why don't I put my message into one piece of creation and call it Sashiko? So I might call it as art. Then we have to discuss about the definition of the art. But at the end of this 100-meter, I will call this project as the art because it has so many stories in it, and also the story was the motivation to start. Story was the motivation to make this one. So, well, another interesting discussion. I don't think I should do it on YouTube, but what is art and is Sashiko art or not? I mean, you can write down anything here, but that can be a quite long discussion. Is Sashiko art? Is Sashiko art? Well, I mean, like, if you don't, like, I don't, in this trend, nobody will question that. I think they are blindly believing, like no doubt, they have no doubt that Sashiko is the art. But in my memory, in my experience, in my relationship with artisans, I don't. Only my mother is the one who kind of considers Sashiko as the art. Everybody else, I don't think. Well, even my mother don't think herself as the artist. She kind of think that what she created can be the art, but but nobody consider themselves as the artist. Perhaps the process is the art. Yes, so the process can be the art. Perhaps not result. this has to be like this Sashiko and art topic. I probably should restart those like YouTube live discussion with inviting some friends. Like some of you here on the comment section can come to the live and talk about it together. One writing and one reading up while stitching can be a little bit too much because it requires more interactive conversation. So you can probably try to do that together. Then probably I won't talk that much. When I can depend on somebody else to talk about those things, I might be kind of quiet too. But yeah, it is so interesting. So many. So many weird things happening. Not a weird, I think it is natural to have that happening, but it's just too much. Too much. Again, the bottom, like very, very bottom. Please don't worry about it too much. But please also know that there's probably more than what you know, they know, and what is introduced. From a decorative standpoint, it is art. From a purely historical standpoint, being the meaning of garment, maybe not. Well, yep, we have to come to one conclusion. Well, we don't have to come to one conclusion, but that's the point of discussion. It can be, but it is dangerous to define as. That'd be one interesting discussion. Well, I am growing. I'm getting much. How can I say? I'm not gonna say stronger. Knowledgeable? Like 3 years ago when I got into this kind of discussion, like say, Sashiko is the art or not, or Sashiko, that I have to change my approach to Sashiko. Those cultural colonization on the Instagram post that I wrote today. I was very confused, and I even tried to blame myself for that. But right now, I know what is the issue. It's not. It can be me. The issue can be me when I talk about something else besides Sashiko. Sorry, something. Again, I lost my word. I am not really thinking today. That's good for Sashiko, but that's not good for the live streaming. I was speaking something and I completely forgot about it. Am I getting like brain damage or just tired? But yeah, please read the Instagram post. It's not that long. It's just 3 posts with the recent my denim work. And yeah, it's so insulting. The comment was really insulting. For the Sashiko as the art or not, we have to like everybody should come up with their own conclusion. At the same time, we don't have to really define it too. We don't have to really define A or B. It can be both, and it can be in the middle. It can be 80% art and 80% not art. So there's no need to define it, but in order to kind of introduce Sashiko as the art or not art, it is probably good to have those discussions in English so that they can rewatch it. Almost 50 minutes of non-stop talking. It was really insulting. I have to, it took a little bit of time to understand what the message was, but I think that's probably the most insulting word I received on the Instagram. Like, disagreement is fine. I have a lot of troll comments. Like, stop overreacting. But those are not really, well, maybe, but today's, well, I had to summarize today's, like, this experience, but why do I have to be educated about that? Like, why do I have to, like, where's the barrier that I have to remove? There's no barrier. So, well, it happened. It's like it does not happen as often anymore, but it happens. Just got here. What did I miss? You missed the 50 minutes of me talking nonstop. So that's a lot. I mean, I didn't talk that much contents-wise, but that was a long 15 minutes. Not a long, but that was. I did not stop talking for 15 minutes. 50 minutes, 50 minutes. So you can rewatch that. Yes, I understood, Helen. I understood that. The definition of the art is purely depend on the observers. So I don't call myself as the artist, but I don't mind people calling me as the artist. Yeah, yeah. I don't call myself. It's not like I'm not gonna get upset. That's if somebody call me artist because that's their viewpoint. But those discussion is quite important because I think not many people question that unless they learn the stories behind it. Once they learn the stories behind it, it's not that difficult to understand why I say Sashiko is not the art. Like they don't have to agree with that, but they can understand why those comments exist. But if they don't really care about those stories behind it, then they cannot really accept that Sashiko is not the art. So anyway, I will probably stop the live streaming after this much thread. Um, I'm focusing on stitching on my own. I probably mentioned that, but I'm trying to fix some of the some of the vintage fabric I received. And I am doing, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm working on something big as well, which I don't have right now. And I'm working on the denim too. Um, so I'm trying to spend more time stitching by myself. It was a very big summer to me, uh, which I explained in the previous live streaming. Domestika itself was a very interesting experience. Domestic course is great, but experience itself has been very interesting. So I'm try to face to myself again. So I don't know if I can increase the hours of time of live streaming next month or toward the end of this year. But I think as of now, 1 hour is a good amount of time to stitch together. So if there's any request for me to talk about Sashiko in English, please leave the comments. If you're watching it as archive, please leave the comment. I might not reply to you, but I read that. And yeah, anything is fine, unless it's not like asking for the tutorials. But I used to do the tutorials for free on the internet, but that's so scary. Not as scary, that's so interesting. But that's how we change. But there are not that many who I taught over the live streaming. But there's one thing I can probably say for sure. I say probably for sure in the same context, but I can say that for sure. None of them are doing Sashiko right now. No, as long as I know, they don't do Sashiko. At least we're not connected. So and I don't think they enjoyed. They I wasn't good at teaching back then too, so if the goal is to be able to do the running stage of Sashiko, it's not gonna be that difficult. It's not gonna take that long of time. But to fully understand and to fully enjoy Sashiko, it can take a long time, and then sometimes the guidance might be a good idea if you can afford, if they can afford, if it's not too much. The guidance may be a good idea because it is something outside of the Western mindset. And once you are hooked, then I'm sorry, but you're gonna be stitching no matter what. From what I've seen, as we live our lives, we grow and learn. The world imprints upon us, and as we grow, we want to leave our own imprint of the world. To me, that imprint we leave behind is art. That's one great definition of art. I think I probably use work, WORK, as that definition, probably. But yeah, so everybody has a little own definition, so it's not realistic to expect that we can come to one conclusion, but probably discussion itself is good. All right. It's so hot here. It's so humid and, well, this is like a half basement and there's no AC. If I can get the studio, the first thing I would probably purchase is the AC. Sashiko can be quite hot. I mean, we use the fabric, right? We keep touching the fabric, and this is perfectly, this size is not a problem. But when we stitch on the big denim or even like a blanket, which I don't do in the summer because it's too hot, it's like covering yourself with a blanket and then stitching. So Sashiko was indeed a practice for the winter. Not many Japanese people practice Sashiko over the summer because they were too busy in the farming or like, agriculture. So they do the outside work over the summer and then they do stitching over the winter. That was more like a cycle. So it's kind of it is not natural to stitch like this in the middle of the summer with thunderstorm coming in the high humidity with the heat, sweating. But it's, again, we have a choice, and that's something we can elaborate. You got a 4 to 6 inch of the rain today? That's a lot. I hope the flood or something didn't have like a flash flood or something. That's scary. Yeah, I think same rain cloud is coming to us too. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to the live streaming. I will keep the live streaming about 1 hour from now on to the little bit of later, like until the fall or so. If you have any request for me to talk about, please leave the comment. Otherwise, I will see you next week. I hope you will have a great Thursday night and have a